Where do you think you're going? The voice, a low velvet whisper laced with ice, cut through the pulsing bass of the party. I froze, my hand inches from the dorm room doorknob. He was here, of course he was here. I turned slowly, a rehearsed smile plastered on my face. Lachlan Ashford leaned against the opposite wall, a chillingly still point in the chaos of dancing bodies. He was only looking at me. Locke, I said, my voice a little too bright. I was just getting some air. He pushed off the wall, moving toward me with that predatory grace that always made my stomach clench. The crowd parted for him as if by instinct. You've had enough air, he said, his eyes scanning my dress, lingering for a moment on the hand of the boy I'd been dancing with just minutes before. He reached me, his fingers wrapping around my wrist, not tight, never tight enough to leave a mark, just an inescapable claim. We're leaving, the party's just getting started. I protested weakly, a pathetic final stand for a freedom I never really had. He leaned in, his lips brushing against my ear, sending a shiver down my spine that was equal parts terror and something else I refused to name. The party is over, he murmured, his other hand coming up to cup my jaw, tilting my face to his. We're 18 now, Isla, you can't run from this anymore. And then he kissed me right there in the middle of the crowded room, a kiss that wasn't about affection, but about ownership, a brutal, beautiful reminder that I was, and always would be, his. It started with a note, a stupid, folded piece of notebook paper slipped into the front pocket of my backpack. I didn't even know who it was from, some guy named Mark. Apparently, he thought my hair looked nice. He wanted to know if I'd maybe want to get a coffee after the SATs were over. I should have thrown it away the second I found it. Instead, I made the mistake of leaving it on my desk while I went to take a shower. When I came back, Lachlan Ashford was sitting on the edge of my bed, holding the small piece of paper between his thumb and forefinger as if it were a dead insect. His room was in the main house of the Ashford estate, mine was in the staff quarters, a 5-minute walk across the manicured lawn, a 5-minute walk that felt like crossing an ocean. What's this? He asked, his voice deceptively calm. I felt a familiar cold dread pool in my stomach. It's nothing, just some guy being weird. I reached for it, but he pulled it back. Mark, he read the name aloud, tasting it with disgust. He likes your hair. His eyes, the color of a stormy sea, lifted to meet mine. Do you like Mark's attention, Isla? No, I said quickly. I don't even know who he is. I was going to throw it out. He watched me for a long moment, his gaze so intense it felt like he was trying to see straight into my soul. Then, he did something that terrified me more than any shouting match could. He smiled. Okay, he said softly, standing up. He handed the note back to me. Throw it out. Then, he walked out of my room without another word. I should have been relieved. Instead, I felt like a prisoner who had just heard the warden sharpening a new set of keys. The surveillance started that night. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, a FaceTime request from Lachlan. It was 2 a.m. I answered, my heart hammering against my ribs. His face filled the screen, sculpted and perfect even in the grainy light. He was in his bed, propped up against a mountain of pillows. Go back to sleep, he said, his voice a low rumble. I blinked, confused. I was asleep, I know, he said. I just wanted to see you. He didn't hang up. He just set the phone on his own nightstand, the camera aimed at his face, an unspoken command. I had to do the same, and so began the new ritual. 24 hours a day, a video call connected us. When I was in my room, my phone had to be propped up where he could see me. I'd be doing homework, and his face would be there in the corner of my vision, watching. I'd be sleeping, and he'd be there. I would wake up in the middle of the night, and his eyes would be open, staring out from the small screen. He wasn't sleeping. After a few days, dark circles began to bloom beneath his eyes, making him look like a beautiful, tragic panda. You look like a panda, I told him one morning, trying to make a joke of the madness. And you look like you're thinking about running off with Mark, he retorted without missing a beat, his eyes narrowing. I was afraid he was going to die from sleep deprivation. You have to sleep, Lachlan, I pleaded. Are you trying to get rid of me? He shot back, his voice sharp with paranoia. So you can sneak out and meet him? The logic was so twisted, so insane, that I couldn't even argue. This was my life, a prisoner in a gilded cage, with a warden who never slept, and the worst part? My mother, Diane, was the warden's most loyal deputy. My mom and I had a plan. Code name, Operation Jailbreak. The day of the Hepplewhite Charity Gala, she whispered to me one night, while we were huddled in our small kitchen, Meredith is dragging me along. She and Lachlan will be gone from 6 until at least midnight. Meredith Ashford, Lachlan's mother, and the queen of this castle, was a creature of eccentric whims and ironclad dependencies, and my mother was her favorite dependency. The day before yesterday, Mrs. Barlow from next door came over for tea. My mom recounted, her voice a mix of frustration and exhaustion. All I said was that Cynthia Barlow seemed very serene, that's it. And Meredith threw a fit, said if I liked her so much I should go work for her. She sighed, rubbing her temples. I spent 2 days apologizing. I literally slept on a mat outside her bedroom door one night to prove my loyalty. She wouldn't even speak to me. So why are we still here? I asked, the question I'd been asking for 10 years. Because, sweetheart, she said, tapping the bank account app on her phone where a recent 5-figure bonus from Meredith sat gleaming. They pay too damn well. That was the unbreakable chain. They paid for my private school. They paid for my future. Lachlan had given me his personal black Amex card with the instruction to buy whatever you want. He didn't like it when the balance was too low at the end of the month. He saw it as a rejection, so I'd transfer thousands of dollars to my own savings account just to fake the spending. It was a sick, twisted symbiosis. We were leeches, growing fat on their dysfunctional wealth, but the note from Mark had changed everything. It had turned Lachlan's possessiveness from a chronic illness into an acute, life-threatening condition. His latest threat, hissed through the phone late one night, still echoed in my ears. If you ever leave with him, I will find him, I will destroy him, and then I will lock you in a room where you will never see the sun again. He wasn't bluffing. I had to get out. We had to get out. The night of the gala arrived. We watched from the window as Meredith, draped in diamonds, and Lachlan, looking impossibly handsome and dangerous in a black suit, got into the back of their chauffeured Bentley. The moment the car disappeared down the long, winding driveway, we sprang into action. We had 2 suitcases each, packed over weeks in secret. My mother took one last look around our small apartment. I'm leaving the Cartier bracelet she gave me, she said, a note of finality in her voice. I earned it, but I don't want anything of hers on me when I'm free. I nodded, placing Lachlan's black Amex on the kitchen counter. A silent severing of ties. We slipped out the back service door, avoiding the main house and the other staff. A pre-booked Uber was waiting at the end of the long driveway, just out of sight of the security cameras. My phone buzzed, a FaceTime call from Lachlan. My blood ran cold. I showed the screen to my mom, my eyes wide with panic. Don't answer it, she hissed. Get in the car, now. I slid into the back seat, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. The car pulled away from the curb, and I watched the grand, imposing gates of the Ashford estate shrink in the rearview mirror. 10 years. A decade of my life spent as his shadow, his echo, his property. My phone buzzed again and again. I took a deep breath, declined the call, and then did something I had only dreamed of doing. I blocked his number. My mother did the same with Meredith's. We looked at each other, a slow, incredulous smile spreading across both our faces. Tears pricked my eyes. We did it, I whispered. We did it, she confirmed, squeezing my hand. The car merged onto the highway, heading for the bus station, heading for a new life. With my aunt in Ohio, heading for freedom. For the first time in a very long time, I felt like I could breathe. The bus ride to Ohio was 18 hours of pure, unadulterated bliss. We ate greasy gas station snacks, listened to a shared playlist on cheap earbuds, and slept with our heads leaned against the vibrating window. It was the most peaceful I'd felt in a decade. My aunt lived in a small, quiet suburb outside of Columbus. Her house was a cozy two-story home with a porch swing and a yard filled with sunflowers. It was the complete opposite of the Ashfords' cold, sprawling mansion. It felt like a real home. You're safe here, my aunt said, hugging us both tightly. They'll never think to look for you here. That night, sleeping in a guest room that smelled of lavender and clean linen, I didn't have to keep a video call running. I turned my phone off completely. No surveillance, no watchful eyes, just silence. The next morning, my mom made pancakes, the real, from scratch kind we never had time for at the estate. We sat on the back porch, drinking coffee, and watching the sun climb over the neighboring rooftops. I was thinking, my mom said, a hopeful glint in her eye, maybe I could open a little flower shop in town and you can enroll in the local community college just for a bit until we figure things out. A flower shop, community college, it sounded so normal, so wonderfully, beautifully normal. I felt a genuine smile, not a rehearsed one, touch my lips. I'd like that, I said, for the first time. A future that wasn't dictated by the Ashfords felt real. It felt possible. We were free. We were finally, truly free.